It helps me to draw this out. Hi, everybody. I'm not nearly as exciting as a fitness class, but I will be a great way to wind down from it. I'm the creative project coordinator, so for some reason, Kayla thought I should come in and do some creative writing, which is, similar to what I do, and I can make it up the rest of the way. So Kayla warned you guys a little bit, but be prepared. We would love for you guys to share stories and reminisce with us too, because although Kayla and Mary and I are really good at talking, we don't need to do all the talking. So if you think of a story or if you want to share what you're jotting down, then feel free to come off mute and share that as we go along. But the point of this, or the purpose of kind of where this came from, is I don't know who was present a couple weeks ago when we did the meeting with Katie Morton, and she was talking about the importance of disconnecting from the negativity and taking time to either just to reminisce and let positive memories wash over you, or to kind of plan something in great detail for the future that you're going to do when we get through all of this excitement that we're experiencing right now. So I'm going to play a little bit of clip, a little 2-minute clip from that here in just a second to kind of refresh everybody about how she went over it, because she just said it so well. There's no way I can top that. So I'm going to play that, let everybody catch up for a second, and then we're going to jump in.
Shannon, we can't hear it.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I forgot to share the sound. That's what always gets me. Back up a second. There we go. It's that little button. Thanks, Kayla.
Worried thoughts that kind of pull us away. That's what keeps me up at night. Makes it hard for me to fall asleep. Is those, I just call them intrusive thoughts.
Wait,
I don't want to have them, but they're there.
Why is this like this? I am doing a terrible job, you guys.
You're just fine. It's different every time, it seems like.
We'll just listen.
And the best way we can do that is doing what I call thought stopping, because we don't want those thoughts, but they just won't stop, right? They just keep coming. So how do we stop them? The best way is to remember a favorite memory in as much detail as possible. Go back to that favorite vacation or that wonderful day or that really big milestone. And I want you to tell it to yourself in as much detail as possible using all 5 senses. What did you taste? What did you smell? How did your shirt, the fabric feel on your body? I know this sounds silly, but doing it in as much detail using all of our senses will pull us out of those worried thoughts and put us back into a healthy, safe space. And so it may take a little while to get, it's like a new muscle. Our brain, I always like to think of as just, it's a new muscles. And the muscle that we have that's really strong is worried thoughts, right? We can go right into worry. We can stay in.
Okay. I think that pretty much covered the important part. So so today we're just going to go into those, we're going to beat the intrusive thoughts that at least I know I'm having. And I'm just going to assume I'm not alone, because so far everybody keeps telling me that we're not alone in any of this. So if you want to write your stuff down and start now, have a pen and paper ready, or I like to use pen and paper because it just feels nice to write it out versus typing it out. But you know what? You can type it out if that's what you like to do. So, and then we're just going to outline our stories. We're going to go over the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why. And then we're going to try to involve all 5 senses. So, like she said, what you touched, what you tasted, what you could smell, what you could hear, what you could see, and just try to wrap yourself completely in that memory, or wrap yourself completely in that future plan. So I wrote down some notes from a memory that I had, and then let's start there, I guess. So something that comes like really strongly back to me is a memory from 2015, September. My family had gathered unexpectedly. We had an unexpected death in the family of my uncle. And so one of my other uncles, his older brother, was managing it really, he was taking it really hard because it was his baby brother. And so my cousin Chris, that uncle's only son, he came in from New York. My uncle came up from Texas. Another cousin came up from Arkansas. Like, we all just gathered in a way we hadn't in probably since my grandma died in 1990. As a matter of fact, my two cousins had not seen each other since then. And so it was just a really cool experience to have everybody together. And so what we did as part of that is we made green tomato relish, which is a recipe that my mom's mom, Nanny, had used forever. It had been a family tradition for them. And then my mom and I, and a changing cast of characters over the years, had carried on this tradition. And so Chris, not living here and living in New York and being so far removed, had not gotten to have that experience with us in a really, really long time. So since it was the fall, it was a great time for green tomatoes. We gathered all the ingredients, and one of the days that everyone was here, we made green tomato relish together. And we had one of my cousins wasn't there yet, the one from Arkansas, but my cousin Chris was there. My Uncle Ken, his dad, was there. My sister and her son were there. So we went through all of the grinding of everything and all the washing and all the cutting and all of that. But then we were all together for the cooking of it. And so I'm sure other people have canned things. So you've got, your like jars are boiling, you're cooking the relish, like the whole room is hot, and it just like, there's the smell of the spice pack. And it just like engulfs everything. And then we're all in there laughing and telling stories and talking. And we've got the, stirring it. And then my mom jumping in to tell us we're stirring it wrong. Like she does, because she's probably better at it than we are. And, it gets all done. Of course, we have to taste test it multiple times because you can never be too sure. And then we get to the canning and, pulling out those boiling jars and dumping the water out of them and wiping the lid and dumping it all in. And then the scrape of the metal and the sound of the knife against it as you're getting all the air bubbles out so that it'll seal. Wiping it and putting your lid on, being careful not to touch the little button in the middle so it doesn't pop incorrectly. And then your mom yells at you because now who will know? And then we'll have to eat the whole jar now because it'll probably go bad. I'm not going to say we didn't accidentally push some down accidentally. And then like the time, as the dishes are slowly disappearing behind us as my mom's washing them. And then we start hearing those pops as they are sealing. And like, it's that little like moment of like, we really did it. We actually did it right. And it's sealed. And at the end of this, we all get to take jars home. So it's just this really awesome moment of us all in there together, like forgetting why we were not forgetting, but taking a moment from like the sad reason that pulled us together to just like connect and laugh and have fun and like carry on this tradition, because that's the purpose of traditions. Is it doesn't matter if you've lost somebody or, the tradition continues and then the person continues with you. So that was like our little like awesome event outside of this sad, rough event in my mom's kitchen, because we live 20 miles from where she grew up. So everything always centers at my mom's house. And her kitchen that it took her 20 years to finish painting because the top was really far up there. So we had 2 shades of yellow for my whole childhood. And it was just kind of like it was just mom's kitchen. It's half one yellow, half another yellow. So I think I got all of my senses in there, but that's a memory I like to go back to and just enjoy that time together when we're so very separated right now. I don't know. Anybody have anything to add or any questions before I make Kayla tell her story that I'm really excited about and I understand is very funny?
Well, I think it's funny. I don't know that anyone else thinks it's funny, but before we move on to mine, does anyone have any memories of canning for your family or even into your childhood, like what it looked like, because I'm sure like canning in my childhood was far different than canning into some of your guys' childhood. So any comments? If you want to comment, you can just hit your unmute button and then chat away.
My mom always made us keep it as authentic as possible. So we have like the hand grinder and the colanders and draining and like the spice packet and the cheesecloth. And she's kept the same container that her mom had, new spices, but same container. So she makes us experience it the way she experienced it too. So we don't get to like be fancy about it.
That's fun. I remember helping can salsa and relish, but it was pickle relish. And then tomato sauce and everything that you can make with a tomato. And pickles, dill pickles. We weren't a sweet pickle family, so dill pickles. And I always try to pick the itty bitty ones because those make so much better pickles than the big ones. So
I didn't actually know my whole childhood that there were different kinds of relish. I learned about like dill relish much later at a baseball game. I was like, what is this?
That is so funny.
These people eating. So
that is funny.
A really weird thing to realize. It's like, a 10-year-old. People have known about that their whole lives.
Not me. That's funny. All right. Anybody that wants to comment? Okay. So Shannon's storytelling was probably far better than what mine is going to be. But I'm in speaker view, so I'm going to come back so I can see all of you guys at one time. Okay. So my story is far different, but it still involves a family. Before my husband and I had our first baby, we would go on vacations together. And sometimes we would go, with people, but this particular time we went by ourselves. And we're like, what are we going to do? Like, I don't even know. Like, you're always in a group. And I had a very large family. And so like 2 people, like I don't even know. So, but we got to do so many more like excursions and fun little things. We went to one of my favorite places to vacation is Orange Beach, Alabama, just because I think it's a lot of people kind of just like overlook it and so you don't have all the crazy traffic and just like busyness of just vacationing. And so we got up one morning and we're like, we're going to go jet ski. And like I have skied on the lake, but never like in the ocean where, if you fall off, like you're in the ocean, like this is you in the ocean. Well, my husband being him, he wanted to drive first and whatever. I let him drive first. I was a submissive wife and let him drive first. And anyway, he was just like, taking it easy, like enjoying, and we would see like the dolphins just like jumping right beside us. Like it was the most cool experience, like, because like on a jet ski, like, it's different than a boat because you're literally just like there on the water with everything. Like I could have reached out and touched one of the dolphins. And I just remember like, as you're like, well, let's just get to the point where I'm driving because not many of you know my husband, and he's twice my size. And so I didn't feel a lot of the wind and stuff when I'm sitting behind him. So I got in front, and of course, like you feel the wind and the salty water like hitting your face and different things like that. Well, I'm kind of a little bit of a daredevil, and I just like to do, crazy things. That doesn't involve heights. Like I don't like to do anything that goes up high. But anyway, so we were riding these jet skis and or jet ski. We were on one. together. And anyway, I started doing like what I know as a country girl, like donuts in the water. And so I just kept doing like 360s. And well, like I said, my husband Jonathan is a little bit heavier than I am, thankfully. And well, when you would build enough waves, like the Sea-Doo would almost tip over. And like he's yelling because he's like, "You're gonna kill us! You're gonna kill us!" I'm like, "No, it's fun, blah, 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 blah." Well, there was one time it almost killed us, but I mean, not me, just him. So as I go around and I like turn it really fast, like the best one yet. Well, he goes flying off into the water because our Sea-Doo almost like is like this. And he goes flying off in the water and I like cannot breathe because I'm like literally dying laughing because I turn and look and he's like coming up out of the water. We have life jackets, like we're not gonna die. Well, he had sunglasses on. Well, he's like, "Oh my gosh, there's a shark, and he's like climbing up and he's like yelling at me to scoot over, scoot back, you're not driving. And like I'm trying to like pull him back up into the boat, but I'm like, I am not getting off in this water, so you're gonna have to figure out how to get on by yourself because I'm not moving. Finally gets up there and he said, "I felt a shark hit my foot." And I'm like, I can't catch my breath because I'm just dying laughing. And he said, and I said, "How do you know it was a shark?" And he said, "I just know it was a shark." And it wasn't a shark. Come to find out, he lost his sunglasses that were on his head. And I believe that's what hit his foot. Not guaranteeing it. I mean, it could have been a shark, but let's be honest, like the likelihood of it being a shark isn't that high. But anyway, we finally climbed back up there. I don't even think we finished our time. Like he just takes us back to the dock because we had like a time frame of like when we could take it back. Nope, he just takes us back to the dock. So we go back to the dock and I cannot even, like, I can't even look at him because I'm just, the fear in his eyes and in his face, like I'm a bad wife, but listen, I was dying laughing the whole time. And still to this day, it is like one of my joyous memories. And he thinks it's funny now. And kind of by the time we got back to the hotel or the condo, he was a little bit, okay, it probably wasn't a shark, but it was still a very fun moment. But I don't really know if I hit on any of the five senses. I think I did. The touch, the air, the taste, the saltiness that you could still taste hours later off of your lips. That smell of just like the fresh air hitting your face and just like, also though, like around docks and stuff, like you still get that like smelly, like fishy, like that always like comes back to my mind too, of just like, this kind of stinks. Like I always say it's like a fishy smell. Like, and my husband's like, what's a fishy? Like, or if I say it tastes fishy, like, and he, like, I grew up in the country and he did not. And so like, just, I don't know if that makes sense to you, but like the fishy smell. And then the sound, of course, of my husband yelling to scoot back a million times. And then just the sound of the jet ski and the motor of that. And then the sight, I wrote down just the fear of my husband's eyes. Of him seeing a shark or thinking he's seen a shark or felt a shark. But yet, still just the sight is also just a joyous time. But anyway, that was a fun story of mine that I literally could just die laughing every time telling it. But I don't know, you probably had to be there. I don't know if it's one of those stories.
No, that was amazing. Poor Jonathan. But I remember stories of him as a child, and I just feel like he should be a little braver. Like, he made some ridiculous decisions as a child, and he's afraid of a Sea-Doo.
I know, right? Yeah. Funny. But anyone have any thoughts of vacationing or in the ocean, maybe a fishing trip, If somebody went overboard, I don't know. I think I've got them all.
I do remember going and what is it called? Parasailing one time. Oh, and
I
like
did
you
that.
could see the sea turtles. I
And the
think
sharks.
we didn't see any sharks. I do think we saw a whale or a dolphin, but I mostly remember the sea turtles. And I chose to wear like denim shortalls, which is the worst decision because then they like dip your butt into the ocean and then you're wearing denim. And there's nothing you can do about it. So don't wear denim in the ocean. It's awful.
Yeah, they didn't just dip me. We went completely under, but I'm not for sure that I followed all of the directions that they gave us to like not go all the way under. But like we came up and I was just like drenched. Like I think we went 6 feet under. I don't know.
We're glad you came back up.
Never again, I said. Okay, Mary, I'll let you take it away.
There. I was having trouble with the mute button. So when Shannon asked me about this, I was thinking about what is like a cool memory that I can like still just smell or see or in one of the coolest memories to me, I was 13 years old. So it was, I think 1989. And it was actually our first family vacation together, which might sound kind of wild, but my dad was just such a hard worker. He was a minister and he had such a hard time leaving his post or leaving the church. So my mom said, let's all go camping together and let's take some friends. And so there were 4 other families and we went to a state park in Michigan and it was called, oops. Shelly said, why can't I hear? Kayla, Shannon, can you guys hear me? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, really quick. Shelly, is your volume up on your computer? Okay, Mary, you keep going and I'll try to text back or message back Shelly.
Okay, sounds good. So we went to a state park in Rogers City, Michigan, and it was right alongside the Lake Huron shoreline and right at the kind of top tip of Michigan. So really cold, but really, really fun. And our first night there, we were all sitting around the campfire and it was cold outside because Michigan gets so cold at night, even in the summertime. So, I'll keep going, Kayla. Just let me know if you need me to stop. So anyways, it was so cold, but we had a fire going so you could smell the smoke coming up. And if you looked up ahead, you could see a million stars because there's no pollution because it's so far in the country. And my dad said, let's do some music. And so my dad pulled out a couple guitars and my friends had mandolins and they had banjos and all kinds of instruments. And we started to sing together. And it was the first time that we had really done anything like that together as a group. And I just remember feeling how cool it was to make music together with a lot of people. And I just remember how cool it was to feel the instruments and to just hear everybody's voices going together with the outside all around us and the crickets and everything. And we had so much fun. And then we saw lights going around and the park rangers came up because we were so loud that all the campers around us complained and went to the ranger station to come tell us to stop. But I remember just the feeling of being outdoors and having an adventure and making music with a lot of people. So anyways, it was just such a fun experience. So that's kind of my story. Not super exciting, but just like one that's in my heart, like makes my heart feel so warm when I remember it.
You have the purest story. Like, It's just the sweetest. And I mean, I love that you guys got in trouble for upsetting the other campers, which I think is probably their loss. But like, what other family has their banjo and their mandolin and their guitars just ready to pull out around the campfire and just sing together?
The funny thing is, I think that's what kind of made me go, some adventures are just worth it. Like there's so many things when it's worth it to just go for it. Even if you get in trouble, it's okay.
Sometimes you just have to. Kay, do you want to come off mute and share your story with us? I don't know if she heard me. Kayla, you may have to talk.
Okay, Kay, we can hear you now.
Oh, can you?
Yep.
A couple of years ago, I moved to an assisted living in Rhode Island. They asked me my background and the work I did and all of that, and what was this fun thing I'd like to do. Well, that's roller coasters. And this Make-A-Wish for seniors, I was in Rhode Island. They flew me to Cleveland, took me to Cedar Point with my son. It's a huge amusement park out here, one of the biggest in the world with the best roller coasters ever. So I was able to come and meet with my Ohio family and say hello, which I hadn't done in 45 years. And then they took me to Cedar Point, and I spent a whole day riding roller coasters. Now, when I went on the lift to get up there to beat the line, the guy put me on the roller coaster, said, "You're the oldest lady I've ever put on a roller coaster before." And I'm 77, so I had the most wonderful day. And my sons wrote an article for them and said it was Mom's best day ever. So that's my big story right now.
It's amazing. I love roller coasters, and how cool is that? How many of you went?
I probably rode more than 1,000 times. Everywhere we go, we always hunt for an amusement park. And we went back to Cedar Point every year from wherever we were. We lived in Canada, Arizona, New England. The Salvation Army moved us a lot. And every time, though, on vacation, we went back to Cedar Point, because that's where I introduced all 4 of my boys to roller coasters when they were 3 years old.
So is Cedar Point your favorite place to go? Your favorite amusement park?
Oh, yeah, it's the best park I've ever found. We've gone to Wonderland. We've gone to in Canada. They have a big park similar. I've gone down to Florida. Those are nothing. And to California, they're nothing compared to Cedar Point. Take a virtual ride. You can on the computer.
What's the best one? The best roller coaster?
The Rapture, or there's 3 new ones that go over 70 miles an hour and go 10 stories high. And they are so much fun. You come down and go around curves and upside down and inside out. But what a fun time. I hope to go back this summer.
Okay, I want to go with you this summer.
Me too. I am terrified of heights, but I love roller coasters. I have to take.
It's the only ride I really like. The round and round ones, forget. But once I rode a roller coaster, nothing else is nearly as fun.
I hate the ones that, like the ride where they bring you up and then they drop you.
Oh, no.
I don't like those, but roller coasters.
I like the water slides.
Mm-hmm.
I ride those too.
Well, when it's so hot out and then you like knock out a water one and then you like cool down and then you go ride the other ones.
My kids said, "You're not going to do it, Mom, are you?" And I said, "Certainly."
Hey, where are you from?
56, so you know how old. But 2 of them went with me.
That's
The
very
brave
fun.
2.
But,
Okay, what community do you live at now?
I live at Hudson Grand.
Oh, very fun.
Beautiful place.
Yes.
Beautiful place.
Good. Does anyone else have any stories or stories to add on about Kay's story? That's very fun. Kay, you need to come to Branson, Missouri.
I've been there.
You have to Silver Dollar City?
Yes, I've rode those rides. Went to the shows.
They have a couple new ones. One is Powder Keg.
The only problem with there is the hills.
Oh,
that is
so
true. Yeah, that's the Ozarks for you.
They have me so exhausted.
No, me too.
And I was only 70 then.
Oh.
Well, if you get one of the carts, then it's like a slow motion roller coaster the whole day.
Yes, I have to get one of those. I get too tired anymore. I like the Cedar Point Saltwater taffy too. It is the best I've ever got anywhere.
My sister is obsessed with saltwater taffy.
Oh, I love it.
She's not had that saltwater taffy though, so.
They make it right there.
That's awesome.
But we've gone there since 1966, when it was just a little park that you bought tickets to ride whatever ride. Now it costs about $60 for the whole day, and you can't get to every ride. So I stick to the roller coaster, just keep riding them over.
Learn what's best and then you prioritize. Have your game plan.
Yeah.
Kay, have you ever been to Six Flags in St. Louis?
Yes.
Did you have a favorite roller coaster?
City, we stopped there. Down Dollywood.
Ooh, I've never done
some places in there, but I find Disneyland and so on boring, so I don't go to them anymore. My kids didn't even like it. They weren't big enough roller coasters and stuff. Busch Gardens had a couple. 20th Century has a couple, but they have so many other rides that their roller coasters aren't standouts. But wherever we went, the one time a year, the boys were allowed to ride rides. If they asked at the fair or carnivals, no, we go once a year to Cedar Point, that's your ride. Unless we stopped at these other kind of parks, but the main day was always centered around Cedar Point.
Awesome. Guys, we've got some roller coaster adventures to catch up on. We might have to make a aero bonding trip to Cedar Point.
Yeah. Have to have an RV and visit the mall. My pocketbook wouldn't allow that.
Oh, no. Yeah, mine either.
And I love the things you put on this Zoom thing. I just love them. I hope you continue them after this mess is over with. Because in Ohio, we're locked down right to our apartment.
Yeah, it's not fun.
They're very strict here. The governor wants no virus in this state to speak of, so we're really...
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, your governor is a lot more strict than the Missouri governor, which I think we're seeing the factors of that weighing in now. So
yeah, we're definitely Missouri's starting to feel a little bit.
DeWine is our governor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The one in Rhode Island probably didn't lock down like this, but Ohio is very strict on disease and nursing homes, especially and assisted livings. We haven't had a big outbreak in Ohio.
I was impressed. He definitely kind of set the tone for a lot in the Midwest. He set the tone for all of us, at least, of how we should.
Yeah, and the president was surprised, and he really said he wants him to help him get us back again. But he's been very, very good at handling this. And we're up by Cleveland, and you'd think they would be hit hard. But in comparison to other big cities, no. And Cincinnati and Columbus have had very few.
Yeah. New York has struggled.
I lived in New York for 14 years, New York, Manhattan.
Wow.
And I can't imagine nobody being on the streets in Manhattan. Because I lived right up by Union Square at the big subway entrance. And we were at a huge 300 apartment building for the Salvation Army. And I was in charge of making sure their menu, they got 3 meals a day. The menu was right. The household staff did the beds once a week in the bathrooms. And all of that for 300 apartments. And at Christmas time, the ones that couldn't go home for Christmas, some were from overseas going to college at New York universities. And so I would have someone put an angel tree out and send me things for older women, jewelry or scarves and so on. Then pick one for each lady so that it was theirs and wrapped it and put their name on it. And it was under the tree Christmas morning, so that after breakfast, we gathered around the tree and had the Christmas story and sang some carols. Then each person opened their gifts separately. We all watched each one open their gift. And we had such a good time.
That's a wonderful memory.
Yeah, I'm a Salvation Army minister.
Wow.
I'm a major and have been in the Salvation Army for 65 years. And my favorite church to go to is the Salvation Army. Been to lots of churches, but nothing like the Salvation Army church. And the work we did. I was also a nurse, so I would set up clinics in the Boweries and the so on, and people could bring their kids for physicals and things that couldn't afford them at the doctor. And then I would say whether they needed to go to the doctor or not, or be ready for sports or camp or whatever. So I led quite an interesting life.
You really did. You've been all over the place.
And 2 of my children are Salvation Army officers. One's in charge of New York City and one in charge of Akron.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 of the biggest operations in the Army in the East.
I'm sure they're seeing a lot of adventure right now.
Oh, yes. Very busy delivering meals to people, especially elderly that are stuck in their houses. It's been, the whole state is passing out boxes, and we're running out of things to put in the boxes.
Yeah.
The food banks and everybody are getting stretched. But I do what I can from my little studio here, which is just gorgeous compared to the ones I was in the East. But they like people to call other people to make sure they're all right. So I like to do that, and I have some that call me. And so we sort of chain it around that way so we know that people are doing all right.
That's an awesome way to stay involved and stay busy when you can't get out and do more.
Yeah, I also do mentoring of other young Salvation Army officers just starting with a husband and children and trying to get time management going right and get their house and their job combined, because our job is 24 hours a day. So you have to depend on your husband, depend on the wife, and kind of get it together. And sometimes at the beginning, you don't know how to do that, and they're floundering. So national headquarters in Washington asked me if I would take on 3 or 4 to just help get through this, because I started out in college with twins. So I had to do a lot of time management. And then I had 4 boys in the end. So they asked me to follow them and help them get their family devotions in order and their study time, which you have to study for sermons and speaking engagements, and then how to handle their clients as well. So I love to do that. Thank goodness I learned how to run a computer.
That does help, especially
people
now.
won't go near anything technical. Well, I have everything technical you can think of, from Alexa to whatever. I just, I wished I was 20 or 25 years younger and could even learn more.
That's an amazing outlook to have.
Yeah.
I sometimes feel behind still. Like
I don't know
there's
how
so many
people
options.
have looked for something at the store, and I said, just a minute. And I dial up Amazon, find it's cheaper. I said, it'll be here in the morning or this afternoon. And so they get their coffee pot or whatever they want. They always come and ask me if I'll order it for them.
I love doing that with my mom.
In all those places that I don't have to go out shopping. But a lot of them say, you have a cell phone? I said, of course I have a cell phone. I've had that since the end of 90s when I had to do TTY. Hated it. My grandson was 12 and he said, Grandma, we got something new. And that's when he, over the phone from Ohio, introduced me to smartphones, then tablets. And I work on a little tiny, well, it's not tiny, it's 10-inch Amazon Fire. Costs about $100, and it works as good as my son's fancy one.
I just bought one of those for my godson for his, what year is this? 13th birthday this week.
So great. Like it's easy to get a hold of you. It's easy to do most anything. PDFs was my big thing last year when I had to move from Rhode Island here to get them from all the assisted livings and go over and see which one I liked and didn't like. And my 4 sons looked at the PDFs and I did, and we rated them. We all came to the conclusion that this was the best one.
Well, we're glad you picked one of ours. We love your stories.
Have you ever seen it?
Hudson?
Yeah.
I haven't. Kayla
it's so gorgeous.
and Mary
it's like
both
a
have.
castle outside. Then inside they give us such roomy apartments. It's really beautiful for the price. They're nice and not as high priced as some. So keep it up.
We will do our best. Do our best. It's exciting getting to connect more because, I mean, I'm usually behind the scenes. So getting to talk to everybody more and connect with you guys in Ohio has been really fun. So
Yeah.
I know Mary and
Out
Kayla.
here it says, open the door and ask if the coffee's on and come on in. We don't make appointments in the East. They want to know what time they should come. And I said, nah, just open the door and ask.
That's how my mom's house always was. The back door's open just whenever you get there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was the headquarters for all the teenagers when the kids were growing up.
Yep.
I'd have 10, 12 boys in my house all at one time.
But you knew how to handle the chaos.
Oh, yeah.
You were
They knew the
trained.
rules.
Yep.
Get in the fridge and get all the iced tea and the peanut butter and jelly you want. After that, ask. Right before dinner.
That's amazing.
But my sons always said, Mom, but most of the kids anymore don't get disciplined. But we know that you always say you do something, there's always consequences. We don't know what the consequences are, but we don't like to test you and find out. So that's how we went through teenagers.
That's how it was. Yeah, my mom always took in all the strays.
Yep.
And she always knew the first and middle
our mom's
names.
afraid we'll mess up the house or we'll damage the yard. I said, I can worry about that after you're gone.
Shows it was well used.
Loved raising those kids. Best thing in the world is to be a mom, a grandma, and a great-grandma. I have 17 great-grandchildren.
Wow. That's amazing. And are you teaching them to love roller coasters?
Oh, they all do so far.
Good.
I don't think my kids would choose somebody that didn't. It's probably the first date they ever had was to the amusement park.
Got to have that standard and set it just right at the beginning.
Yeah, my mom and dad took me on roller coaster when I was 3. So right here in Canton, Ohio. So I was brought up to love those kind. And Kennywood in Pittsburgh is another wonderful place.
That's amazing.
But, life is so good.
It is.
I wish it would be 150 years instead of.
I mean, who knows?
I always say God is good all the time. That's the thing that matters the most.
It's a wonderful outlook.
I won't preach anymore. You can tell I'm a preacher.
That's okay. That's okay. You answered my problem of how I was going to get my event long enough because I was just hoping that you guys would want to share. So you saved me. But
I didn't hear much of the other shares because I didn't know that on our list they made it our time and not your time because last week I had an hour.
Oh.
They gave us a sheet that had our time on it. So I was a little late getting y'all.
Well, you caught the best one, I think, which was yours. So, but no, we're so glad you were here. We're so glad everybody was here. And I hope that even if you didn't want to share today, that you at least took the time to think about some of those memories and go through them and that you'll have them going forward to help those intrusive thoughts. Stories. Well,
my family's done so many things, and that's about anything free we would go see.
Yep, that's what I love about road trips.
Camped in the wilderness camping, and then we went to all the free things. And out east here, my goodness, you have Washington and Philadelphia and Gettysburg and on and on. And my kids love history since we went to all those places.
My dad is a huge history buff, so that was a lot of our trips. Everything was centered around baseball and whatever historical thing. And if we
Mine's
could get
football.
to
I'm telling from Ohio. Mine's Ohio State and Cleveland Browns. I miss my football. But I lived here, was raised here till the end of the 70s. The Salvation Army moved us out east, and then Canada and New York City and Tucson, Arizona, and on and on. Arizona is my favorite.
It's where my brother lives. He's
so
gotten
beautiful.
to really enjoy some hiking since he moved out there.
You go from the cold of the Grand Canyon where you freeze as soon as the sun goes down, and you can ski and whatever, to the beautiful desert all in one day. I'd say go do that and come back. We'll swim and have a barbecue.
My dad just did that vacation with them last year. I didn't get to go, but that was his first time at the Grand Canyon, and he was 69.
It's majestic.
So that was really fun.
Mm.
It's been a whole new world since Ryan moved to Arizona and introduced us to more of the stuff that's there. So
Yeah. Well, I'll quit talking and let y'all go. But thank you for having these things on here.
Well, thank you for joining and sharing, and maybe we'll have to do another one. So
Yeah, I love knowing it seems like everybody's right next door.
Yes. It's given us opportunities to connect with, the people we wouldn't have otherwise gotten to meet because we're all over the country.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting. All right.
But it's been really nice the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it's been.
It's the thing that's keeping us sane through everything, getting to have these other connections. So
yeah, otherwise this little 300 and some square feet would get kind of. But I have so many things that I do in here. I do some abortion counseling and some grief counseling, and then I do the mentorship. So they wonder what I do since I don't go out too often except the trivia contest and things. I love trivia.
Well, my sister hosts it on Thursdays now.
On this thing half the time, that's the problem. Plus I play 30 games of Words with Friends all around the world.
I love that. And then I got partners who were way too much better than me, and I was like, I don't want to play with you guys anymore. Starting to get a complex.
I lose every time. When I win, I say, gotcha.
A little victory.
Especially to my son. He plays 18 games with me every day. Before he goes to bed, when he gets up at 5 o'clock, I hear my tablet go ding, ding, ding. That means he's put in a bunch of words.
That is too fun, Kay. All right. Well, we are going to have to hop off here. I know some of you guys are probably going to miss lunch if we don't. And I don't want you guys to miss that. So we'll probably host something similar to this again. We really appreciate you guys joining us. And Shannon,
I had no idea you could talk to me and I could talk to you, though. I never noticed that on here before.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys. Shannon, thank you for hosting. Mary, thank you for sharing your story. This was a very fun event. Ray, thank you for sharing some of your fun stories as well.
Have a great day.
Yes. Bye, guys.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.